FM, and good morning to you. And Peter Broad is here, Indiana Borough Council President. Michael Foote is here as well, the Indiana Borough Manager. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Our first visit of the new year. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael, come a little closer to that microphone over there so we get you all lined up.
I feel a little hungry after hearing about all the foods that
there you go.
Keep the common cold away.
Foods that'll fight that cold. So if you're having your meal tonight or someone's preparing it for you, tell her the menu should be oysters with garlic and almonds, kiwi, and chicken soup.
I don't know how they blend, but we'll see.
Well, report back to us when you figure that one out.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we have actual things to speak of here this morning, and one of those things is sewer rates in Indiana Borough, and there is some news on that.
Yeah, there is some news, and it's exciting stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the bottom line is, a lot of folks take utilities for granted. We come home, say at the end of the workday, we flip a switch, we expect lights to come on. We turn the handle of the water, and we expect to get some water coming out. When we flush, we hope that things go away, and that's that's kind of how we are. And it's only times when there are some changes that happen that then folks start paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd come in today and just talk a little bit about sewer rates. We just applied for a rate increase. We received that from the PUC. And so our rates are going to be changing a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the things about that is the PUC never takes that lightly. I mean, they force those who apply for rate increases, rate changes, to justify why they're doing it, which means that Indiana Borough had to come through with valid reasons for that, and maybe we can talk about what's going to be going on and why the need for the rate increase.
Sure. And, the thing is, we started the process, I want to say, last spring. And here it is, we're in January, so that's how long this process can take, working with the PUC to get those approvals.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we talking about here, Peter?
We're talking about a very small amount of money, raising it just over $3. We still have some of the cheapest sewer rates in the state. Michael just was given it for... Climber? For Climber,
based on the combination of fees, they're at about $23. So that compares to us going from $12.57 to $15.95. So it's still a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
When you consider it. The other interesting thing is I was informed that we are the largest wastewater plant east of Pittsburgh.
Really?
Well, not all the way.
Well, I mean, not all the way across, but, but in
Western PA.
In Western PA.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's really interesting that we service quite a few customers. I want to say something like 8,000, more than 8,000 units is who we serve.
So what are some of the reasons for the increase? I know there are upgrades that are necessary always, but particularly now for Indiana Borough.
Well, we haven't raised our rates since 2002. So that's a number of years that we have not raised rates. And over the course of time, we've invested over $19 million into our plant. And so that's really why we need the increases to be able to continue those upgrades as we move forward. Obviously, DEP and EPA, they change parameters on an annual basis. And so we always have to look at how do we... what equipment do we need to purchase to be able to stay compliant to the new rules?
And we have had some major expenses in the last couple of years. Equipment that got old and broke down had to be replaced, so forth. And then we have our ongoing effort to deal with infiltration from the sanitary sewer system into the into the stormwater system that needs to be major investment. That's where a lot of this money is going to go.
That's got to be front of the list, doesn't it? Yeah, keeping those two.
If you're one of those people who gets infiltration, yes.
Keeping those two things is separate. That is extremely important. And Peter, you said we think back to, and we can probably recall some dedication ceremony or ribbon cutting. It's all there, and it's nice and shiny, and it's new, and then we think, okay, then we don't have to worry about it for now on. But those things get old, and time passes rather quickly, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
We do.
absolutely.
And equipment, let's face it, technology changes, and we just invested, I want to say, somewhere between $1 and $2 million on a new a filtration system that's pretty sophisticated.
Yeah.
And again, improve the operations of our facility.
Absolutely. So that is the reason for the sewer rate increase. And again, as you said, Michael, that's in comparison to other communities and what they must pay for their systems. That's a major thing.
It is.
I mean, that it's been so long since there's been a rate increase, and still below what is considered to be a standard across the region.
Sure.
And in the eastern part of the state, they're in a different ballpark altogether when it comes to the sewer rates. So.
Yeah. The plant itself is one aspect, of course, of any sewerage operation. The other aspect is the actual line work that goes on, and all of those have to be maintained.
You do.
Those are breaks that you certainly don't want to have happen. And as you said, Michael, the government, the mandates that come through, the differing standards. People never ease those standards.
They always tend to be a bit more restrictive.
Yeah, they always add to them. And that's not a bad thing in terms of this. Okay, so one of the other things we wanted to talk about is, Michael, you used a term before. Say it again for me.
Inhabit Indiana?
Inhabit Indiana. What's it about?
Inhabit Indiana is a program that we somewhat officially announced launched last night at our council meeting. Mm-hmm. And it's a program that we are, as staff, have created three, for better words, silos, 3 phases. And the first phase is a closing cost assistance program. And a number of our local banks have contributed into a pool of funds to provide grant monies to income qualifying households to help them with the closing costs if they are interested in home ownership.
Oh, okay.
And so we've partnered with ICAP, and they will be providing home buyer counseling as well as qualifying for these grant monies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's an exciting program to think that we can help folks that have an interest in home ownership in making that next step.
Yeah.
And the banks have partnered with us by offering products that support that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a great example of a private-public partnership.
Mm-hmm. Is that Indiana Borough only, or Indiana Borough White Township?
No, just Indiana Borough.
Just Indiana Borough.
This is a borough initiative, and the goal is to get more people to realize that they can buy a house and raise their families here in the borough, where you can walk places and not have to drive everywhere you go.
Yeah. I know that one of the things that Indiana County has done is it has taken a look at the number of houses and homes that are unoccupied right now but are perfectly viable houses. What is the case at Indiana Borough? Are there many of those types of properties that are available?
Well, we think there's a suitable housing stock that would allow folks that are interested to have a nice selection of homes, and depending on what neighborhood they might want to reside in. So there is a number of homes available.
There aren't many abandoned houses in the borough of Indiana, but there are a lot for sale, as anyone who's driven around town.
Yeah, there are a lot of realtor signs up right now. Quickly, because we only have a little time left, Michael. That was one aspect of Inhabit Indiana. Yes. What are the other two?
So the second phase will be coming out in a couple to few months, and that is the repair, what we're calling repair and renovation. So we're going to be providing some monies to help folks repair and renovate their homes. There's some grant money that was left over, and so we're hoping that we can provide some additional funds to folks to do facade improvements and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 will be where we'll be working much more closely with our local business community and working with them to provide employee assistance. So where the business would actually provide some monies to their employees to help them, again, with home ownership.
Yeah. Well, that's
a neat program.
Yeah, it sounds like it is. That a lot of thought has gone into developing it as well. And to have the banks come in and the various cooperations that need to be secured in order to make something like this happen, that's a good thing, isn't it for Indiana Borough?
We do our best.
There you go. well, it's good to know. People want to learn more about that or about anything going on with Indiana Borough, Michael?
Just call the borough office.
Okay. All right. And, of course, there's always Facebook and a website for Indiana Borough as well.
There is, too. Yes.
Yep.
Terrific. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you for having us.
We appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.